Good evening, televiewers, and thank you very much for joining us on this weekend's edition of Viewpoint on DBS Television. Today, we'll be talking issues concerning the internally displaced persons living in the different regions of Cameroon and how we could help or assist them to better their going back to school during this period. And given that a lot of parents or inhabitants in the northwest regions are migrating again to these other regions as a result of the heightened insecurity back home. And to discuss about this topic, we are having Susan Asanji. She is the founder of the Susan Asanji Foundation. She is not new. It's the second time that we are receiving her to talk issues that concerns humanity. Good evening to you, Susan, and thank you very much for coming again.
Good evening, Vanessa. Thank you very much for inviting me again. I'm so grateful.
It's our pleasure. Manga Venashus, happy weekend start.
Actually, Vanessa, good evening.
I always wish you that.
Of course, you know, when we come to the end of the week, we give a kind of relief. We say, finally it's weekend and we'll have some
good time to rest.
Of course, to catch up.
Viewpoint is a debate program divided into two parts. That is the yes or no question and answer, and the second part, the debate. For the meantime, let us have the first part. Once more, you're welcome back. First question: with school better still, I'm sorry for the voice, cold these days. With school resumption next month, any hope for internally displaced persons from the northwest and the southwest regions in other regions? Susan?
Yes.
There's a hope for them?
Yes, there's a hope for them.
Manga Venashus?
I don't see any hope for them, Vanessa.
You do not see any hope for them. And is there any way out of this situation for these Cameroonian children?
Yes, there's a way out for them.
There's a way out. Manga Venashus?
If I had opportunity, I would have sat on the fence to say yes and no. But to a greater extent, there is yes. Since there is life, there is hope.
Since there is life, there is hope. So you've taken the yes. Let us take the debate. In our first question, with school resumption next month, is there any hope for internally displaced persons from the northwest and the southwest regions in the other 8 regions of Cameroon? Susan, do you think that there is a hope for these IDPs to return back to school? How do you see the possibility?
Thank you very much, Vanessa, for this opportunity once again. I believe that there's hope for them, because when there is life, there is hope. And for those IDPs, when you talk about IDPs here, we mean those are actually in need. That's the ones you're talking about, right? Those are actually in need, because there are some IDPs that actually have the sponsors. There are some IDPs that are doing very well, but we have other IDPs that have left the northwest and the southwest too. Douala, Yaoundé, and they actually have no hope. They actually have no one to assist them. So I believe that there's hope for them. Why? Because foundation helps can come in to assist them. If actually they are determined, if actually they actually want, if you are determined for something, if you actually want to go to school, you want to learn a trade, you always have someone that will assist you. You always have someone that you can reach out to that can assist you. So I believe that there is hope for them. There is hope for them. Yes. All right.
They might have hope, but we all know the situation that when they migrate to these regions, some of them don't have food to eat. They do not have clothing, talk less of shelter. So how would they survive? Parents even who have fled with their children, with all the economic hardship also caused by this coronavirus pandemic. I really want to see the possibility of these children, these IDPs, going back to school in these regions.
Well, Vanessa, like I earlier said, if you're determined, if actually you need the help, if actually they are going through that situation, if you actually need the help, you reach out to someone. Even if you don't know that person, you just need to reach. If I need something and I know you that you are a high personality in a society, I will reach out to you that, Vanessa, please can you assist me? I'll always reach out. So if actually they need the help, they will reach out. So I believe that there is hope.
So how many people will be ready to help them to go back to school?
There are a lot of foundations out there, a lot of foundations like the Belinda Babila Foundation that can actually assist them. We have the Future Africa Leaders Foundation that can assist them. Even my foundation, if they reach out to me, I can actually link them up to foundations that can actually assist them.
All right, so there is a hope for these IDPs. Like probably you are calling those watching us at this particular moment, they could get to Susan for assistance or for help. Mangavina Shoes, you rather think that there is no hope for these internally displaced persons, particularly students, to return to school in these other regions?
Yes, Vanessa, when we're talking about the IDPs in other towns like Douala, Bafoussam, Yaoundé, when we talk like those of us who have the opportunity not to be called IDPs, we may not understand the sensitivity or the situation at which they are faced. We know what our brothers and sisters from the northwest and southwest regions have been going through here in Douala. When you look at the rate of, in Bonaberi, they talk of the rate of prostitution is on the rise because of these young girls who are here. They don't have just where to go to. And when it comes to going to school, Vanessa, some of us who live here in town here, we have something that we look up to that would help us prepare for our own children to go back to school. And I tend to imagine, what about those who don't even have what to eat? They don't even have where to live. How would they go to school? Going to school is not something it's not a one-day kind of activity that you just go to school today and tomorrow. We are talking about getting into a process that would, everything being equal, last for 9 months. That's the education month in a year in Cameroon, 9 months. And when people who are in that situation are living here, you know, those of us who have been here in Douala for some time, we still find it difficult adapting. We still find it difficult sending our children to school. You cannot compare the cost of sending a child to school in the northwest and the southwest region as the case we have here in Douala. You just take even a nursery school, the kind of fee that we pay here. Back in my own locality, that is a government school. That is a private secondary school. And even you may even be living in a dormitory. But that is the fee that you pay here for a nursery school kid here in Douala. Somebody who does not even have what to eat, and then the child has to go to school. You don't even have where to live, and the child has to go to school. We understand what they are going through. And when we say there is no hope, the ongoing crisis in the northwest region, particularly, you know, at the beginning of this week, I think, this week, papers were telling us that thousands of people, hundreds of people are fleeing the northwest and southwest region just at about 3 weeks to school resumption. When they would come to this part of the country, when they will go to Bafoussam, when they will go to Yaoundé, before they get settled, I mean, let us not look at those who have at least where to live, at least they have a cousin, they have a relation in these towns. No, I mean those who just came because they want to live. They are running away from death. That is, they don't just have where to go to. When you look at them, when you look at such, those are the cases. Those are the cases. When I look at them, I say there is no hope. If those of us who are here, we are struggling. Remember, we are still even in the era of coronavirus, with all the economic hardships that we are plagued with. Then people are plagued with, besides that, they don't have where to live, they don't have what to eat, and they will have to go to school. When I look at it, actually it is, you don't have words that you can describe the situation. Because when we talk of helping, I like what Susan is saying. And I think it is an opening even for those of them who are listening to us, to those other Cameroonians who can recommend some of them. Because back in our quarters here in Douala, we know, like she was saying, we know those who are actually in need. We know those very IDPs that we can say that, no, this one needs help. This case is more than... So I think that is where we are opening up to say that they can come to her. Maybe she would help them out, because if we leave it on them, I don't see them going to school, Vanessa, because they are running to come here back in their villages. They could not go to school because of the crisis, the ongoing crisis. Now here, financially speaking, that's where my point of argument is. Their financial background cannot help them. They are not even able to live. They are not even to rent. You know the cost of rent of living here in Douala. You know the cost of feeding here in Douala. Back in the village, if you take 2,000 francs that you are feeding for 2,000 francs a day, you're a rich man in the village. But here in Douala, take 5,000 francs for just a household of father, mother, and 2-3 children. It will not even be enough. 5,000 francs. How many of them can afford 5,000 francs?
And given that the coronavirus pandemic has come in, and so government is fighting at
actually with the cost of living, you know, food, you know, the cost of basic necessity in the market, they are on the rise practically on a daily basis. So I think that we leave these our brothers and sisters from the northwest and southwest regions who are here, who are in some other parts of Cameroon on their own. I think that the next academic year may not be for their, you know, favorable for them, because they would not be able to survive. I think there is also high time that I remember when this crisis started about 2 years ago, the Minister of Territorial Administration in Bafoussam made a statement. I don't know how that statement was followed up, that schools should make sure that the IDPs have access to education, that schools should make sure that they have admission, and then
government will subsidize the cost of
the question now we were asking was, were all these IDPs to go to government schools? We know what it means to admit a child in government schools. In cities like Douala, when you have to admit your child, you have to go through back doors. Most of these IDPs, they never wrote the common entrance. Most of those cases that did not even go to school, maybe for 2 years, they have to start maybe from 2, from 3 onward for them to adapt. We are in a new culture, completely a new setting, where a child gets, if you are not that bold enough, you get, you know, you are getting into language barrier, French, all these things. It plays on them, their psychology. They are still coming running back from a war zone, and they have to, you know,
and even the parents,
and even the parents, and even the parents. So I think that if we allow these children on their own, these are our brothers and sisters on their own, like you were saying, parents as well as the children, going back to school will be an uphill task for them.
That's the reason why I said there's actually hope for them if the government actually bring in something.
We are living in an if situation.
In an if situation.
Yes, we are living in an if situation. Because they have been in these regions for the past 3-4 years, and the government
and not going to school.
Correct.
That's it.
So when
I believe that there's hope for them. I strongly believe that there's hope for them.
I love if I could be able to adopt this positive
anyway,
attitude.
if Susan says there's hope, then probably should.
That's what I'm saying.
Give us a possible ways out of this, and that is why in our second question we are trying to find out if there is any way out of this situation about these children, these IDPs that were stranded. And you said there are ways out. You know, we are joking with the leaders of tomorrow, Cameroonians, because they are being considered as young Cameroonians are the leaders of tomorrow. But then, without education, how would they be able to lead a whole nation?
That's true.
That's true. So, what are some of those ways out of the situation?
Okay, thank you so much, Vanessa. Like, we have an upcoming program, and our target is to send. Firstly, our target was to send 500 children, IDPs back to school. So we have added 500, that's 1,000, and for now we have already gathered 600 IDPs.
Okay,
we have already gathered 600 IDPs, left with 400 IDPs, and it's being sponsored by the Future African Leaders Foundation. Like I earlier told you, it's being sponsored by the Future African Leaders Foundation, and that's one of the ways we want to support kids back to school and youth. That's from 4 years to 20 years.
Okay.
So we'll be giving them school books, school bags, and those are actually in need, because there are some IDPs that will come, but they have people that can send them back to school. So those are actually in need. The foundation will be giving them scholarship, and we are planning to create a center where those that don't have where to live, they can stay. And also we want to connect with the social welfare, where we can actually connect them to orphanages where they can stay, because you cannot just bring in IDPs that you just got, because most of them that live on the street. So you cannot just take them from the street and you go and keep in an orphanage. At least for security reasons, you have to pass through the social welfare. So we want to connect them to orphanages and also give them this scholarship. So that's a way out. We are bringing. That's one of the measures we are bringing in to support
the children.
Yes.
And you said you have already started 600 already. So how do they get to you? Do you go out and look for them?
Yes, we went out and look for them.
We went towards you.
We went out and look for them. We contacted one lady, Miss Washe. She helped us. We had some at Bedi, where floods. There was a lot of floods around that area. So we also had some at Mesoke, Rai. We have Rai, Mambanda.
Like most of the neighborhoods that were being affected.
Most of the neighborhoods, we have a lot of them. We already have 600.
So all the 600, are they coming from all of them? Were they from Douala, or you have collected them from the other regions?
They left the other regions and came to Douala. It's only in Douala, 600 already.
All right.
So we are going to we arrange with buses that will carry them from their area and bring them, because we are organizing in Mambanda. So they will carry them from that area to Mambanda. They will distribute this thing. They will give them scholarships. They'll be receiving scholarships from the foundation.
All right. All right. You should stay with us, because I'll get back to you.
I wanted to find out from us, from Susan, the criteria they use in selecting this. How do you know that?
I was supposed to get back to that.
Sorry.
I was supposed to get back to that, but
you are right.
Before, let me get your point on that.
Yes.
So, what way out can we have for these children away from foundations assisting them or NGOs assisting them?
Vanessa, we were discussing this issue the other day, and we were saying that it's high time the government of Cameroon realizes that they have a need, that they are in a crisis, and once there is any crisis, there are cases like these children that we're talking about. There is the need for the government to prove its authenticity as a father of the nation by taking care of them, which means the Ministry of Social Affairs, the Ministry of Women Empowerment and the Family, they have to take this responsibility of identifying. Remember, she said there are IDPs and there are IDPs. There are actually those who need help. There are those who can survive. And like it's always the case in Cameroon, if we say IDPs, everybody will identify as. We may have those who live here comfortably with their parents, and they may identify as IDPs. So I think that it's high time the Minister of Social Affairs goes down into our quarters and get those who are really in need.
Yes.
When we had the flood that hit littoral and west region, southwest region, the north region, the ministers went out there. The minister came over to Douala here with assistance to assist those who were hit by that flood. This is another case that is more than the flood, because the flood is just a matter of days and it will be over. It's a seasonal, issue, yes, which they can preempt. They can even handle it, know how to handle it. But then this situation that we have, I think that it's high time that the ministers concerned that are related to this, they should search who are these children. They can give them scholarship. If it is the government, their own way of assisting these children, give them free education in government schools. Give them free education. Tell them that if you can secure a way to live, you have the right to go to this government school for free. We are sure that at least for this 1 year, because when you look at the situation in the northwest and southwest region for the past 4 years, we have girls whose futures will never be the same again because of this crisis. We have children whose future destinies will never be the same again. And if measures were taken to, arrest the situation, we may save a number of lives. I think that's high time that we should look at this issue and try to see how the government can really assist them. Assisting them is not to give mattresses, blankets, savon. No, give them long-term assistance that will help them to survive the crisis.
Shelter, which is the most important.
Besides taking them, enrolling them in government schools, let us do a kind of psychological build up. It is not beyond the scope of the Ministry of Social Affairs to organize seminars to bring up the morale, boost up the morale of these children. Let them know, because Vanessa, I had the opportunity just to get the sound of the gun in Bamenda practically 2 days. And I imagine the child who has been living in this crisis for 1 year, who has been displaced, running from one locality to the other. If you know that if you cannot be able to run, you risk dying. So we need to kind of reform them again, give them that encouragement to know that there is still hope for them. Because when you listen to some of them
who come, feel back that sense of belonging.
When you listen to some of them who come in from these two regions, you listen to them, you see a kind of things that we used to watch on foreign channels. We don't believe that we are living it in Cameroon. So excuse me. So I think that we should give them that moral booster that we need. And like I said, it is not beyond the ministries to take charge. They can organize seminars, collect them together, drill them, and so that before schools resume in October, they should meet up with a certain level. Then we should work in trying to avoid that stigmatization of calling them IDPs. When I listen to some of them, you know, in the quarters they refer to them as le Bamenda.
Yep.
You know, we have this mentality that anybody who speaks English is a Bamenda man. And being a Bamenda man, they think that this is where you can have your house help. These are the other citizens who are not fit to go to school. They are just, you know, we can have them.
Like
they
the
take care of
stigmatization, like
Correct.
some people are more Cameroonians than others.
Correct. It is that stigmatization which I say that we as a society, we as the government, we as NGOs like the Susan Assange's Foundation, we need to work on that to make sure that that stigmatization, let us wipe it away. They are not less Cameroonians than we are. They are not less Cameroonians than others are. They are Cameroonian children that have the right, same 100%, you know, right to education like any other children. So let us not just think that because they have come here, they are a social menace, they are a social threat to us. I remember some people were saying that avec le Bamenda CEC, c'est risquant. There is nothing risquant. We don't know. The tides may change at any moment. You may end up. In 2015, 2014, when they were living in the northwest and the southwest region, some of them never dreamt of coming to Douala. Some of them never dreamt of being in Douala in 2020. Now they are here. You don't know what 2025 will have for you. So I rather think that we will stigmatize them as le Bamenda, le IDPs is wrong. We should refer to them. They are our brothers and our sisters, and living here, they have the same right. If every Cameroonian has a right to settle wherever he wants, I think that this crisis, like I was saying with some of my village guys, once you are here, integrate yourself.
Integrate yourself.
Don't say that tomorrow we'll be going back. Integrate yourself, and once you integrate yourself, you find life going. This is still Cameroon. This is still Cameroon, and they still have the right to be here. So I think that we should walk past that stigmatization and call them, they are Cameroonians, not IDPs, Vanessa.
All right, thank you very much, Manga Venashus. And to clear your doubt, I will be turning back to Susan to ask her that since your foundation is working to assist these IDPs, so what are some of those criteria that you find out in them in order to be eligible to get this sponsorship?
Okay, Vanessa, they must be, first of all, 4 years to 20. 4 to 20
the age matter between the age group, 4 to 20.
Yeah, and these IDPs are the ones that they don't have, actually, totally, they don't have any assistance, no one to assist them. That's the ones we are looking for. Those are, yes, those are actually crucial needs.
In crucial need. So, because like Venashu said, some people, by the time they get to know that there is an NGO supporting these IDPs to go back to school, a lot of people will just get into it or find themselves into it to get assistance from you. So what actually makes you identify the person as this person is in direct need of this assistance?
That's why we actually connect with those that are actually inside the field, like Madame Rachel. She's actually in the field, so that I got to her and I asked her to look for me those IDPs, so she knew where she could get them. She even had some that she collected from the streets. Those that were living in the streets, well, young girls, 15 years, they're in the streets, just misusing their life. Yeah, so we had to get these ones. Those are the ones that we actually look for. Those ones are actually, they don't have anyone to assist them. And so how those are in churches, that are living in churches. That's how we'll get to churches. We send letters to churches. Those are living in churches. They don't even have where to live. They're in churches there.
All right, so you send letters to collect them. All right, and for the rest of the 400 that you passed in search for maybe those watching us at this particular moment who want to link your foundation to these people. So how did they do to get to you?
They can get to me through my number. Yeah.
All right, through your number. So if you have the possibility to give them your number, then probably it will be open. You have the floor to give them your number, because it's in our own way to assist these IDPs go back to school in these different regions.
Okay. Okay, you can get to me through 652 96 65 06
652 96 65 06. She is the founder of the Susan Assange Foundation, and now she's working in collaboration with other foundations to assist these internally displaced persons back in some of these cities like Douala, Bafoussam, Yaoundé, to go back to school. Is in a way to just help them or assist them, given that the situation back in the region is not favorable for them to go back to school. Well, Susan, so in your last word, on your conclusive word, what would you like to tell the entire society concerning this crisis?
What I would like to say is that we should have hope for the future, and that things will change someday. They might not change now. It might even be looking like it will never change, because I've been hearing people say, I'm not sure this thing will finish today. I'm not sure. Since 2016, it's 2017, yes. And it's like things are just getting worse and worse every day. So I just want to give hope out there that someday it will change. It might not be now, but just someday things will be okay.
Things will be okay. And to you, Mange Venashus?
Actually, like she's saying, we need to give them hope. We need to let them know that, like I was saying, they are Cameroonians. It's not an error that they are here. Yes, they have just simply called it from one room to the other of the house. They are in Cameroon. But then I would rather plead with the Assange, Susan Assange Foundation, that they should also, Douala is vast. There are other localities in Douala 2, like Douala 2 subdivision, going down to village, and then you get into other cultural association meeting houses.
They had a foundation that the Zoe Head Foundation, we work with the Zoe Head Foundation, who actually reach out to the IDPs at that area. They reach out to 300 IDPs at that area.
Okay, yeah, I was citing the area because I know that most IDPs are around that area, and then to launch the initiative, because I believe that it is a non-political, program, non-religious program, non-tribal, has no tribal links. Yes, you must not be a Christian, you must not be, once you are a Cameroonian child in need, the association is ready to assist them. I think it's a laudable initiative, and we think such other men and women of goodwill should also follow the footsteps to make sure that we give help to these our brothers and sisters who are in need in these other parts of the country, Vanessa.
All right, thank you very much, Mange Venashus, and to you, Assange, the founder of the Susan Assange Foundation. In our own little way, that is how we could help send out the information that there is an NGO that is helping these ITBs to return back to school. Hope that in one way or the other you will pass out the message and get to her, of course, for assistance. It has been a pleasure having you for this week's production. An entire team has been working at the background. Big congrats to them. See you on Monday, God willing. Do have a blessed weekend in the company of programs on DBS Television.